Welcome to Learn from the Experts, brought to you by Women's Business Owner Alliance, better known as WBOA. And today I have the pleasure of having Gail Krutka with me of Gail's Designer Jewelry. Hello, Gail.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you, Marianne.
It's great to have you. So tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, I make handmade beaded jewelry, and I use handmade stones in the making of my jewelry. And I've been doing this for about 29 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I started it when my daughter was a baby, and I've taken classes from Native Americans and learned all the different ancient stitchery.
Oh.
So when I teach my classes to
so you
young
have
people,
classes as well.
I do. I teach at the local school, the local elementary school, and the library.
Oh, great.
So I teach the girls how to do an ancient skill of handwork and needlery.
That's great, not to keep some of that old stuff alive.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
I have quite a little following of 4th, 5th, and 6th graders.
Oh, that's the best. That's wonderful.
They're a lot of fun.
I'm sure. And I've heard you talk about your jewelry before, and a lot of times you talked about the story behind the stone.
Yes.
Tell me some more about that.
The beads tell a story. The stitches are the journey. The lesson is immeasurable, and the connection is eternal. And that's one of the little sayings that I learned from my books. I have the variety of books that I've studied from, as well as the people, and they go from all the ancient stitching all the way up to the modern design. And so incorporating that into my life and into the lives of other individuals that are working with me, and I've taught some adults as well, and it's a wonderful journey.
Yes.
I'm very connected to the work.
Yeah.
It's in the hands.
Right. No, and you know, sometimes, I don't know, if I didn't really, because I'm not a big jewelry person, so I just would look at a piece of jewelry and be like, oh, that's pretty, or that's not pretty, but never really thinking about the story or where the design came from or different things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of inspiration throughout nature, and when you study with the Native Americans, they ask you to look around you and take in what you see, to translate through your eyes into your hands, into your work.
Wow,
and
yep.
Create the sculptures, and because some bead work is sculpting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do bead sculpting, and some people work on a loom, others do it by hand. And
wow.
yeah, there's like
I'm
so many
sure.
levels of it.
Now, if somebody was interested in getting into beadwork or something, where would you direct them to go?
Well, I even use this methodology of YouTube. I use that, as well as there's a lot of really nice places you can go and learn the stitching. And some of the folks that are local to me will just give me a call and come to my house, and I have a studio above my garage.
Oh, perfect.
So I teach classes, like private classes and stuff, in my studio.
Oh, great.
And work with different women, and it's funny because older women have a harder time with it than younger.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
We tend to lose our dexterity, maybe.
Yeah,
or
and sometimes that needle and thread, because you're working with a thread that's about the size of a thin strand of hair, and sometimes that thread can be very daunting to try and get into a size 12 needle.
Oh, sure. Oh, no, I've learned that. I've lost, even with my glasses, I've lost the ability to thread a needle sometimes. Like, just be patient, keep trying. So I can kind of get that.
Yeah.
So if somebody's out, you know, looking for a piece of jewelry, especially say maybe as a present, what, like, tell some stories behind that, or maybe something that they can look for, or, you know, when you say it tells a story, just an example or something.
Like, I had a friend come over, and she went through my stones, and we talked about what stone was appealing to her. What stone, you know, each stone has a value, like rose quartz are heart chakra stones.
Okay.
Turquoise and aquamarine are throat chakra stones. Finding out what you're looking for yourself, what kind of energy and peacefulness are you looking for? And then, do you want something a little more elaborate, or something very simple like what you're wearing? Little tiny freshwater pearls and a little gold. And what does the gold bring into the pearl, and what does the stone bring into you, and the colors, what colors resonate with you. I like to show people my collection of colors to look at, and invariably, every woman I've ever showed my bead collection to, they see that box filled with thousands of beads. They stick their fingers right into it and run the beads through their fingers. They have an amazing feel when you can take a half a kilo of beads and stick your fingers in it and touch them.
Right.
And the color is what draws. I see so many people drawn to the colors.
Yes,
And
how interesting.
I coordinate the colors with the stone itself. This stone was handmade by my friend who went to Arizona and mined it himself. He was a Native American fellow. And turquoise and pipestone can only be mined by natives now because it's so rare in the Southwest that it's being, guarded by the elders because it's a sacred stone to them.
Oh, wow.
So
That's so interesting. I would have never thought about, all this stuff.
yeah,
You
a lot
know?
of things come into play. My friend has since passed, so the stones that he made for me are, for me, I'm very connected with them, and I love them dearly. And he used to pay me in stones for the work that I would do for him, and I made him necklaces and bracelets and things, and put stones in them for him. And he was making a belt. And
Oh, okay.
I ended up with the last of the collection of stones all beaded and waiting for him, and it's been 15 years, so he's disappeared on me.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, but
Again, that's a story,
Yeah, and,
And
interesting people.
Oh, sure. Because, this conversation is just opening up all this, folklore or just, just a whole different way of looking at things. I just never thought about jewelry. Like I said, I just thought whether you liked it or not.
Yeah,
And-
and I think because so much jewelry is manufactured, and it doesn't have the feel of the artist anymore. And it's hard to go to a store, and like even Silverscape down in Northampton, Dennis is gone. Dennis made rings for me when I was younger, and I kept those rings. They're a little small now, but but I
too.
still have my rings that he made.
Right.
And that's the part of it that's not as prevalent nowadays. People see bling, or if it's not cheap.
Right.
But when you look at a piece of handmade work and you prize the energy that's gone into creating it for you,
Right.
and that I think it draws the people together and makes, just gives an energy that's more loving and earthy.
Yes. No, that makes sense to me. And it's just like, having something, a painting or,
Right.
or a piece of music, even listening to
That's
somebody
right.
just playing their music. It's just all art in a way. Did you make that necklace
Yes.
that you have on?
This piece here was a piece that I had made for Jim, and I took the stone and beaded it with like and kind beads. So it actually accents the stone, but it actually makes it pop even more.
Right.
And then creating this necklace for it to hang from. And
That is so
the time
pretty.
and energy that goes into something like this.
Must be. So you would teach people how to make those kinds of
Oh, the
little
girl.
flowerettes, I guess
Yeah,
you
these
call
are my
them?
daisies.
Oh,
I call
daisies,
these are
okay.
the daisies here in this part, and this is my sunflowers. So this is daisies and sunflowers, and I usually start with daisies for the young girls because daisies it's a daisy chain, and it's a circular pattern.
Okay.
And as life goes in a circle, we sort of like to fall into a circle and follow the
Right.
circle.
I love all your metaphors about that. That's so beautiful.
It's amazing how when you work with young children and they feel the connection, how they can flow with it themselves. And my little girls last fall, they created a piece of jewelry every single week when we were working together. I did a 6-week class, and the kids fall into place. They just fall into a sort of a following with it.
Right.
I'm very impressed at how young girls get really drawn into it. And they learn to thread that needle,
Yep.
and they have to work hard at it.
Right. But kids are amazing what they can learn.
They are, and that's one of the reasons why I like to teach a class, at least one class a year, one
Right.
6-week series a year for the kids.
Sure.
The Swift River Schools hooked me up this time, so I'll be going over there and teaching a series for them.
Well, I'm sure it rejuvenates you and kind of all
It's
that
fun.
kind of stuff.
It's fun because, well, you know, you can get bored with yourself, or you can get bored with your work, or you can expand and grow beyond what you're doing.
No, you're right. That's true with everything right across the board. So that's
True.
great. So you've definitely opened my eyes to jewelry and the story behind it and the meaning and all that. So thank you for that. Is there anything in closing that you would want to say about, like, somebody should know about buying things? Like, how would they know the value, if they're getting the right value? Is there a way to figure that out?
Well, a lot of times I have an Etsy store, and I always tell folks, go on Etsy and check out what's available there. You can put in Gail's Designer Jewelry, and you can pull up my store and look at what I have, and you can go into other stores as well. Now you got to realize too, sometimes you've got folks from overseas that are putting manufactured things into the,
Of course.
and saying it's handmade, so you can tell when someone's charging $3 for a pair of earrings like this
Oh,
that
right.
you know they're manufactured in a machine.
Okay.
They're not handmade. If you want a handmade product, it's going to say handmade.
Right.
And that's the key. If you really want to connect with the person and with what's going on with that jewelry, the stones, the beads, it's all a definite connection with the artist. And you can feel the energy when you are touching and looking at it. I always like to make my jewelry nice and strong so people can touch it.
Oh, good.
So when people tell their little children, oh, don't touch that, I hand it to them and say, here, how does that feel?
Right.
Because
That's
it's got to
great.
be strong enough. I let my grandsons tug on my stuff.
Oh, that's wonderful.
My little 2-year-old loves to grab a hold of it and just pull on it.
Right.
You know, he's not going anywhere.
Right. Well, that's good.
So
That's all great stuff. Well,
strength in the manufacturing as well as, you know, grounded energy.
it's perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Gail. This has been very eye-opening, and I'm going to look at jewelry differently now. So thank you for all of that.
Thank
So
you,
say-
Marianne.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, my pleasure. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have and learned as much as I did. And if you'd like to know more about Gail or find her contact information, you can go to wboa.org and look up Gail Krutka, Gail's Designer Jewelry, and her information will be there. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you, Gail.